Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, I hope that everyone can hear me quite all right. Today we will be continuing on with the Surah Mujadala rather, and starting off with the 28th juz, inshallah. If you have any questions for me throughout the class, please feel free to ask through the chat. Or even if you would like to send me an email, please feel free to do so. Inshallah, I will get to you as soon as I can. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فقد قال الله في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد سمع الله قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله والله يسمع تحاوركما إن الله سميع بصير. Allah has heard the talk of the woman who was debating with you about her husband and was complaining to Allah. Allah was hearing the conversation between both of you. Indeed, Allah is all hearing, all knowing. الذين يظاهرون منكم من نسائهم ما هن أمهاتهم إن أمهاتهم إلا اللائي ولدناهم وإنهم ليقولون منكرا من القول وزورا وإن الله لغفور غفور. Those of you who declare zihar against their wives, they are not their mothers. Their mothers are none else but those who gave birth to them. Undoubtedly, they utter an evil word and a lie, and Allah is surely most forgiving, most merciful. So zihar is a term that was a custom amongst the Arabs in the days of Jahiliyyah. So whenever a husband would disagree with their wives, they used to say to them that you are, for me, like the back of my mother. And after saying this, they would make their wives, uh, or they would take their wives as their real mothers in regards to making their wives prohibited for them. And then the marriage would have been broken, and they would not, restore their marriage at all. So these ayats specifically were revealed in a case where a husband had declared zihar against his wife, uh, and they approached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or rather, the wife approached Rasulullah and complained about her husband, and this custom was then condemned with this ayah, and the rules about Sharia about zihar were laid down by these verses. والذين يظاهرون من نسائهم ثم يعودون لما قالوا فتحرير رقبة من قبل أن يتماسا ذلكم توعظون به والله بما تعملون خبير. فمن لم يجد فصيام شهرين متتابعين من قبل أن يتماسا فمن لم يستطع فإطعام 60 مسكينا ذلك لتؤمنوا بالله ورسوله وتلك حدود الله وللكافرين عذاب أليم. Those who declare zihad against their wives then retract what they said. Obligated on them is to free the neck of a slave before the two spouses touch one another. This is what you are advised, and Allah is well aware of what you do. But whoever does not find a slave has to fast for 2 consecutive months before the two spouses touch one another. Then the one who is not able to do so has to feed 60 indigent persons. This is laid down so that you believe in Allah and His Messenger. These are the limits set by Allah, and for the disbelievers there is a painful punishment. So the rules that are laid down by these ayat is that the husband who declares zihar must either retract it or give divorce in due words. So in the first case, he will have to offer kafara by freeing a slave, and if he has no slave to free, then he will have to fast for 2 consecutive months. So a total of 60 days, like full 60 days. And if he is not able to fast, he must feed 60 people. And he is not allowed to approach his wife until he pays this kafara. إن الذين يحادون الله ورسوله كبتوا كما كبت الذين من قبلهم وقد أنزلنا آيات بينات وَلِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. Surely those who oppose Allah and His Messenger shall be disgraced, just as those before them were disgraced. We have sent down clear verses, and for the disbelievers there is a humiliating punishment. يوم يبعثهم الله جميعا فينبئهم بما عملوا أحصاه الله ونسوه والله على كل شيء شهيد. On the day when Allah will resurrect them all together and will tell them what they did, Allah has its full account while they have forgotten it. Allah is a witness to everything. ألم تر أن الله يعلم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ما يكون من نجواهم ثلاثة إلا هو رابعهم ولا خمسة إلا هو سادسهم ولا أدنى من ذلك ولا أكثر إلا هو معهم أينما كانوا ثم ينبئهم بما عملوا يوم القيامة إن الله بكل شيء عليم. ألم تر إلى الذين نهوا عن النجوى ثم يعودون لما نهوا عنه ويتناجون بالإثم والعدوان ومعصية الرسول وإذا جاءوك حيوك بما لم يحيك بالله ويقولون في أنفسهم لولا يعذبنا الله بما نقول حسبهم جهنم يصلونها فبئس المصير. Have you not observed that Allah knows everything in the heavens and everything in the earth? No secret consultation takes place between three, but He is the fourth between them, nor between five, but He is the sixth of them, nor between fewer than that or more, but He is with them wherever they may be. Then He will tell them on the day of judgment what they did. Surely Allah is all-knowing about everything. And did you not see that those who were forbidden from holding secret talks, then they do again what they were forbidden to do? They whisper for sinful act and wrongdoing and disobedience of the Prophet. And when they come to you, they greet you the way Allah does not greet you. And say to themselves, why does Allah not punish us for what we say? Enough for them is Jahannam, they will enter it, and it is an evil end. So some Jews that had a peace treaty with the Muslims used to hurt the Muslims in different ways. So when they saw a Muslim, they would start whispering with one another in a way that the Muslim would believe that he was spouting rumors about him or conspiring against him. So Rasulullah directed them not to hold such secret talks in the presence of Muslims, but they continued this practice anyway. And another mischief of Jews and some practices and some hypocrites was that when they met Rasulullah, they greeted him by saying Assalamu alaikum instead of saying Assalamu alaikum. So there's a difference in the lam here. The former sentence without the lam means death be upon you, and while the latter means peace be upon you. So these these Jews, they would take this on as an opportunity to abuse Rasulullah, and when they were approached for their mischief, or when they were approached by it and condemned for it, they would say that if it was something that was wrong, why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish them for it? So a few things to mention is number one, for having secret talks, right? So this is a very similar thing that many people do this now, is that when you have a group of people, there'll be a few individuals in that group that will talk in their own language that is not, the common tongue, or that the other people among that group do not understand that language. So you'll have, like, let's say 4 or 5 people that only know English, and only know Urdu. Okay, and then a few or two people from that group, they know another language. Let's say they know, uh, let's say they know French. Okay, and then these two individuals, they start speaking in French, whether it's something, related to the group or unrelated to the group. This is something that's not advised in Islam as well, and Rasulullah, he advised against it. um, so it's very similar to the secret talk, even though it wasn't something that was conspiring against the rest of the group. It would make the other group feel uncomfortable, and this is something that is not advised in Islam. Another thing was to mention is we, in our Desi culture, or we tend to say salam very quickly. Many of our our aunties or uncles or whatever it may be, they'll say assalamu alaikum without enunciating properly, and more often than not, you may be saying inappropriate words by accident. So you should really be careful how you pronounce the Arabic language, because very, very small differences change the meaning significantly. So when you're wanting to say assalamu alaikum, you pronounce it clearly and legibly, and you don't want to sound like you're saying assalamu alaikum, or whatever the case may be, because you don't want to be cursing your fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تناجيتم فلا تتناجوا بالإثم والعدوان ومعصية الرسول، وتناجوا بالبر والتقوى، واتقوا الله الذي إليه تحشرون. O you who believe, when you hold secret counsel, do not whisper for sinful act and wrongdoing and disobedience of the Prophet, and do whisper for righteousness and taqwa, and fear Allah, before whom you will be gathered together. إنما النجوى من الشيطان ليحزن الذين آمنوا وليس بضارهم شيئا إلا بإذن الله وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون. Whispering for sinful acts comes from the shaitan, so that he may grieve those who believe. Well, it is not harmful to them in the least, except with Allah's permission, and in Allah the believers must place their trust. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ناجيتم الرسول فقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقة، ذلك خير لكم وأطهر، فإن لم تجدوا فإن الله غفور رحيم. O you who believe, when you consult the messenger in private, then offer something in charity before your consultation. That is better for you and purer. But if you find nothing to offer, then Allah is most forgiving, most merciful. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم، وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير. O you who believe, when it is said to you, make room for others in the sittings, then make room for them, and Allah will make room for you in the hereafter. And when it is said, rise up, then rise up, and Allah will raise those in ranks who have believed and are given knowledge. Allah is well aware of what you do. So upon an occasion, Rasulullah was sitting with a large group of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and some of the veteran Sahaba, or the seniors, who participated in the Battle of Badr. They arrived to attend the gathering, but they couldn't find, a suitable place to sit. So, Rasulullah felt that if the audience would squeeze themselves to some extent, then enough space would be spared for them. So Rasulullah directed the audience accordingly, and some of the audience made some room uh, for these, elder Sahaba, while some Sahaba didn't move. So since the space that was spared by the former people was not enough, Rasulullah directed the latter ones to rise up to make room for the newer ones. And so the munafiqeen, they raised objections against this direction, and this ayah was revealed on this occasion. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ناجيتم الرسول فقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقه ذلك خير لكم وأطهر فإن لم تجدوا فإن الله غفور رحيم. O you who believe, when you consult the messenger in private, then offer something in charity before your consultation. That is better for you and pure. But if you find nothing to offer, then Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. So many rich people and some of the munafiqeen used to have private consultations with Rasulullah for a long time. And at times these long discussions were, without a genuine reason, or, there wasn't an actual need uh, for this consultation. So this long, needless conversations with Rasulullah deprive the poor people from having time with Rasulullah with their actual genuine needs to talk to him. So it was then, through this ayah enjoined upon those seeking consultation in private to offer some sadaqah to a poor person before they came to consult Rasulullah. And this rule also exempted the poor people from offering this charity. So it was only a rule for the those that were rich to offer charity. Uh, so it would have some sort of balance with those poor people that weren't able to have consultation. أشفقتم أن تقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقات فإذ لم تفعلوا وتاب الله عليكم فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأطيعوا الله ورسوله والله خبير بما تعملون. Have you become afraid of offering charities before your consultation? So when you do not do so and Allah has forgiven you, then establish salah and pay zakah and obey Allah and His Messenger, and Allah is well aware of what you do. ألم تر إلى الذين تولوا قوما غضب الله عليهم ما هم منكم ولا منهم ويحلفون على الكذب وهم يعلمون. Have you not seen those who have friendship with the people with whom Allah is angry? They are neither of you nor of them. They swear false oaths while they know. So the Munafiqeen, they would have secret friendships with the Jews of Medina and the pagans. So they would pretend to be Muslims, and they weren't really counted from the number of the believers. And that is because they were really, they were neither here nor there. They would pretend to be Muslims, and they would, have their friendships with the pagans and the Jews. اتخذوا أيمانهم جنة فصدوا عن سبيل الله فلهم عذاب مهين. They have taken their oaths as a shield and then have prevented other people from the way of Allah. Therefore, for them there is a humiliating punishment. So, they would make false promises, they would make false oaths that, I swear that I'm a Muslim. But it was only, they didn't want to be treated as disbelievers. لا تغن عنهم أموالهم ولا أولادهم من الله شيئا أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. The riches and their children will never benefit them against Allah. They are the inmates of the fire. They will live there forever. يوم يبعثهم الله جميعا فيحلفون له كما يحلفون لكم ويحسبون أنهم على شيء ألا إنهم هم الكاذبون. The day Allah will raise all of them and they will swear before Him as they swear before you and will think that they have something to stand upon. Be assured that they are sheer liars. استحوذ عليهم الشيطان فأنساهم ذكر الله أولئك حزب الشيطان ألا إن حزب الشيطان هم الخاسرون. The shaitan has prevailed upon them, so he has made them neglect to not remember Allah. They are the party of shaitan. Be assured that it is the members of the party shaitan that are the losers. إن الذين يحادون الله ورسوله أولئك في الأذلين. Indeed, those who oppose Allah and His Messenger, they are among the lowest. كتب الله لأغلبن أنا ورسلي إن الله قوي عزيز. Allah has written in His predestined decree, I will certainly prevail, but both I and my messengers, surely Allah is all strong, almighty. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان وأيدهم بروح منه ويدخلهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه أولئك حزب الله ألا إن حزب الله هم المفلحون. You will not find those who believe in Allah and in the hereafter having friendship with those who oppose Allah and His Messenger, even though they may be their fathers or their sons or their brothers or their clan. They are such they are such that Allah has inscribed faith on their hearts and has supported them with the Spirit from Him. He will admit them to gardens beneath which rivers flow, in which they will live forever. Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Allah. Those are the party of Allah. Be assured that it is the members of the party of Allah that are successful. سورة الحشر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Allah's purity has been proclaimed by all that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth, and He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. هو الذي أخرج الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب من ديارهم لأول الحشر ما ظننتم أن يخرجوا وظنوا أنهم مانعتهم حصونهم من الله فأتاهم الله من حيث لم يحتسبوا وقذف في قلوبهم الرعب يخربون بيوتهم بأيديهم وأيدي المؤمنين فاعتبروا يا أولي الأبصار. He is the one who expelled the disbelievers of the people of the book from their homes at the time of the first gathering. You did not expect that they would leave, and they deemed that their fortresses would protect them from Allah, but Allah came to them from when they did not expect, and cast fear in their hearts when they were spoiling their homes with their own hands and with the hands of the believers. So learn a lesson, O you have eyes to see. So Hashr is termed as gathering. And Hashr is also the name of the surah in which this gathering is named for. So, in this ayah or in this context, uh, there are two interpretations. Number one, it refers to the gathering of the Muslims who ordered the Jews to leave Medina because of the conspiracies and the breaching of treaties that the Jews were doing with the Muslims. And according to this interpretation, the ayah means that the Jews of Banu Nadir were made to leave the city at the first gathering of the Muslims without fighting and without, a second attempt to attack them. The second interpretation is that it refers to the gathering of the Jews for the purpose of immigration. In this case, the ayah would indicate that their first exile before, which they did not face such a situation, and it has another subtle indication to the fact that this first exile will be followed by another exile. And this second exile was the exile that the Jews faced during the days where Umar radiallahu anh was the Khalifa. So they were allowed to take as much as wealth as they could, and they spared nothing and removed even the doors of their homes to take with them. And so they spoiled their homes with their own hands. ولولا أن كتب الله عليهم الجلاء لعذبهم في الدنيا ولهم في الآخرة عذاب النار. If Allah had not destined exile for them, He would have punished them in the world, and for them in the hereafter is the torment of the fire. ذلك بأنهم شاقوا الله ورسوله ومن يشاق الله فإن الله شديد العقاب. That is because they were hostile to Allah and His Messenger, and whoever has hostility with Allah must know that Allah is severe in punishment. ما قطعتم من لينة أو تركتموها قائمة على أصولها فبإذن الله وليخزي الفاسقين وما أفاء الله على رسوله منهم فما أوجفتم عليه من خيل ولا ركاب ولكن الله يسلط رسله على من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. And whatever or leftover property Allah has passed on to His Messenger from them, you had not urged on your horses or your camels for it, but Allah gives predominance to His messengers over whomsoever He wills, and Allah is powerful over everything. So fa is a term for the properties left over by non-Muslims and that is possessed by the Muslim state without fighting. So as opposed to this, ghanima is a property that's taken over in the course of fighting, right? The spoils of war. But in this case, immovable properties of Banu Nadir were taken over without property. So when they were exiled, and whatever they were not able to take with them became property of the state. ما أفاء الله على رسوله من أهل القرى فلله وللرسول ولذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل كي لا يكون دولة بين الأغنياء منكم وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. Whatever fay Allah has passed on to His Messenger from the people of the towns is for Allah and for the Messenger and for the kinsmen and the orphans and the needy and the wayfarer, so that it may not circulate only between the rich among you, and whatever the Messenger gives you, take it, and whatever He forbids you from, abstain from it, and fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is severe in punishment. للفقراء المهاجرين الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم وأموالهم يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا وينصرون الله ورسوله أولئك هم الصادقون. And Fay is especially for the poor immigrants who were expelled from their homes and properties while they were seeking Allah's grace and pleasure and were hoping the religion of Allah and His Messenger. They are the truthful. والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. And faith is also for those who established themselves in the homeland of Medina and in faith before the former ones arrived in Medina, who have love for those who emigrated to them and do not feel in their hearts any ambition for what is given to the former ones, and faith and give preference to them over themselves, even though they are in poverty, and those who are saved from the greed of their hearts are the successful. So these were the qualities of the Ansar. They requested Rasulullah that the properties left by Banu Nadir should be given exclusively to the Muhajirin, and they did not wish to have any share in it for themselves. والذين جاءوا من بعدهم يقولون ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. And it is also for those who came after them, saying, Our Rabb, forgive us and those of our brothers who preceded us in faith, and do not place in our hearts any rancor against those who believe. Surely, our Rabb, you are very kind, very merciful. So, this ayah removes a misconception that Fay is not exclusive to Muhajirin and Ansar. Rather, it's permissible even for those people of later generations as well. ألم تر إلى الذين نافقوا يقولون لإخوانهم الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب لئن أخرجتم لنخرجن معكم ولا نطيع فيكم أحدا أبدا وإن قتلتم لننصرنكم والله يشهد إنهم لكاذبون. Do you not see the hypocrites saying to their brothers from those of the people of the book who are unbelievers, If you are expelled, we will certainly go out with you, and we will never obey anyone about you. And if you are fought against, we will definitely help you. Allah bears witness that they are pure liars. لئن أخرجوا لا يخرجون معهم ولئن قتلوا لا ينصرونهم ولئن نصروهم ليولن الأدبار ثم لا ينصرون. If they are expelled, they will not go out with them, and if they are fought against, they will not help them, and even if they help them, they will surely turn their backs, then they will not be helped. لأنتم أشد رهبة في صدورهم من الله ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يفقهون. In fact, your fear in their hearts is greater than that of Allah, and that is because they are a people who do not understand. لا يقاتلونكم جميعا إلا في قرى محصنة أو من وراء جدر بأسهم بينهم شديد تحسبهم جميعا وقلوبهم شتى ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يعقلون. They do not fight you, even assembled together, but in fortified towns or from behind the walls. Their quarreling between themselves is severe. You think that they are united, while their hearts are divided. That is because they are a people who have no sense. كمثل الذين من قبلهم قريبا ذاقوا وبال أمرهم ولهم عذاب أليم. The example of Banu Nadir is like those who were before them in near past, who tasted the evil consequence of their conduct, and for them in the hereafter there is a painful punishment. So the people in the past, this was in reference to another tribe of Jews. They were Banu Qaynuqa, and this tribe was also in violation of the treaty. They fought Rasulullah, and after facing this a severe defeat, they were exiled from Medina before Banu Nadir was exiled. كمثل الشيطان إذ قال للإنسان اكفر فلما كفر قال إني بريء منك إني أخاف الله رب العالمين. The example of the hypocrites is like the shaitan when he says to a human, become a disbeliever, and then once he disbelieves, he said, I disown you, I fear Allah, the Rabb of the worlds. So this in particular is a statement that shaitan will make on Yawm al-Qiyamah, that shaitan will say that, I was only whispering to the believers or to the Muslims or to the people, and, I didn't force them to commit this sin. I didn't force them to do anything. Rather, all it did was whisper to them, and, it wasn't really my fault. So it's a reference to that, or two, it can be a reference to a specific event that took place in the Battle of Badr. So either or, it can be in reference to these two occasions. فكان عاقبتهما أنهما في النار خالدين فيها وذلك جزاء الظالمين. So the end of both of them is that they will be in the fire, living there forever. That is the punishment of the wrongdoers. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. So, O you who believe, fear Allah, and everyone must consider what he or she has sent ahead for tomorrow, and fear Allah. Surely Allah is fully aware of what you do. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. Do not be like those who forgot Allah, so He made them forget their own selves. Those are the sinners. So they forgot themselves in the sense that they had acted against their own interest and made themselves liable to punishment in the hereafter. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. The people of hell and the people of paradise are not equal. The people of paradise are the successful. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. Had we sent down this Quran to a mountain, you would have seen it humbled, burst apart out of awe for Allah. We cite such examples for people so that they may ponder. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة Huwa ar-Rahman rahim He is Allah, beside whom there is no God, the knower of the unseen and the seen. He is all merciful, very merciful. هو هو الذي لا إله إلا هو الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. He is Allah beside whom there is no God, the sovereign, the supreme in holiness, the safe from all defects, the giver of peace, the guardian, the almighty, the all-repairer, the sublime. Pure is Allah from all what they associate with Him. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. He is Allah, the creator, the inventor, the shaper. His are the most beautiful names. His purity is proclaimed by all that is in the heavens and the earth. And He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. Surah Al-Mumtahina. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا عدوي وعدوكم أولياء تلقون إليهم بالمودة وقد كفروا بما جاءكم من الحق يخرجون الرسول وإياكم أن تؤمنوا بالله ربكم إن كنتم خرجتم جهادا في سبيلي وابتغاء مرضاتي تسرون إليهم بالمودة وأنا أعلم بما أخفيتم وما أعلنتم ومن يفعله منكم فقد ضل سواء السبيل. O you who believe, do not take my enemies and your enemies for friends, expressing love with them, while they have rejected the truth that has come to you, expelling the messenger for yourselves from Mecca, merely because you have faith in Allah and is your Rabb. If you have set out to do jihad in my way and to seek pleasure by Allah and to seek my pleasure, you express love with Him secretly, while I know what you have concealed and what you have revealed. And any of you who does this has missed the straight path. So I should mention a lot of these ayat were mentioning the friendship with the disbelievers, right? And I'm sure many of us have our own friendships with non-Muslims, and these ayat may seem as if they are um, referring to us, and they may be referring to us or they may not be referring to us. So let's figure out what the difference is, right? So number one, this ayah is saying specifically with those friendships, with those disbelievers or those non-Muslims who wish ill for you for the sole fact that you're a Muslim, or they want you through their friendship that they have with you to take you out of Islam, right? There's no haraj, there's no harm in a friendship with a non-Muslim where these types of, um, indirect intentions are there. As long as it's just a friendship, and there's nothing wrong with that. As long as they don't wish ill for you. And similarly, even if he's a Muslim and he wishes ill for you, you wouldn't want a friendship with that type of person either, right? So similarly, it's these types of friendships that you want to stay clear from. إن يثقفوكم يكونوا لكم أعداء ويبسطوا إليكم أيديهم وألسنتهم بالسوء وودوا لو تكفرون. Should they have access to you, they will become your enemies and will stretch their hands and tongues towards you with evil, and they desire that you should reject the true faith. لن تنفعكم أرحامكم ولا أولادكم يوم القيامة يفصل بينكم والله بما تعملون بصير. Neither your womb relations nor your children will benefit you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. He will decide between you, and Allah is watchful of what you do. قد كانت لكم أسوة حسنة في إبراهيم والذين معه إذ قالوا لقومهم إنا براء منكم ومما تعبدون من دون الله كفرنا بكم وبدا بيننا وبينكم العداوة والبغضاء أبدا حتى تؤمنوا بالله وحده إلا قول إبراهيم لأبيه لأستغفرن لك وما أملك لك من الله من شيء ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. Indeed, there is an excellent example for you in Ibrahim and those with him when they said to their people, we disown you and what you worship instead of Allah. We disbelieve in you. Enmity and hatred has arisen between us and you forever unless you believe in Allah alone. But his example is not to be followed in what Ibrahim said to his father, I will pray to my Rabb for your forgiveness, and I have no power from Allah to do anything for you. O our Rabb, in you alone we trust, and to you alone we turn for help, and to you is the final return. So this is the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Um, and this example, it's supposed to be followed in regards to the prayer for his father, who was in idol worship. But it was not, approved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this was an exception by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا واغفر لنا ربنا إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. Our Rabb, do not make us persecuted by those who disbelieve, and forgive us, our Rabb. You are the Almighty, the All-Wise. لقد كان لكم في أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر ومن يتولى فإن الله هو الغني الحميد. Indeed, for you there is an excellent example in them for anyone who hopes to meet Allah in the last day, and if one turns away, Allah is free of all needs, worthy of all praise. عسى الله أن يجعل بينكم وبين الذين عاديتم منهم مودة والله قدير والله غفور رحيم. It is hoped that Allah will bring about love between you and those of them with whom you have enmity. Allah is powerful and Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. Allah does not forbid you as regards to those who did not fight you on account of faith and did not repel you from your homes, and that you do good to them and deal justly with them. Surely Allah loves those who maintain justice. إنما ينهاكم الله عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين وأخرجوكم من دياركم وظاهروا على إخراجكم أن تولوهم ومن يتولهم فأولئك هم الظالمون. Allah forbids you only about those who fought you on account of faith and expelled you from your own homes and helped others in expelling you, that you have friendship with them. those who develop friendship with them are the wrongdoers. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He specifies the type of friendship that you should abstain from. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا جاءتكم المؤمنات مهاجرات فامتحنوهن الله أعلم بإيمانهن فإن علمتموهن مؤمنات فلا ترجعوهن إلى الكفار لا هن حل لهم ولا هم يحلون لهن وآتوهم ما أنفقوا ولا جناح عليكم أن تنكحوهن إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن ولا تمسكوا ولا تمسكوا بعصم الكوافر كوافر واسألوا ما أنفقتم وليسألوا ما أنفقوا ذلكم حكم الله يحكم بينكم والله عليم حكيم. O you who believe, when the believing women come to you as immigrants, put them to a test. Allah knows best about their faith. So if you find them faithful, do not send them back to the disbelievers. Neither these women are lawful for them, nor are those disbelievers lawful for these women, and give them, the disbelievers, that dower which they had paid to these women. And there is no sin for you if you marry them when you give them their dowry. And do not hold onto the ties of marriage with a disbelieving woman, and ask their non-Muslim husbands to pay to you that dowry which you had paid to your previous wives, and they and the previous non-Muslim husbands of the Muslim woman should ask their new Muslim husbands to pay that dowry which they had paid to their previous wives. That is the decision of Allah. He decides between you, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. All right, a couple of things to mention here. So these ayah were foretelling that the non-Muslims, some of these non-Muslims, their relatives of the immigrants will embrace Islam, and this will restore their love with them. And so, since these non-Muslims had, paid dowry to these women, their marriage was terminated as a legal requirement without their volition, and so the dowry that was paid by them was ordered to be returned to them in all fairness. And so before this ayah, Muslims would keep pagan women in their marriage, and this ayah repealed this permission and prohibited marrying pagan women or keeping them in marriage. So after the revelation of this ayah, the Muslims who had pagan wives divorced them, and they joined the pagans of Makkah and married new husbands from among them. In this case as well, their new husbands were asked to return the dowries that were paid by their previous Muslim husbands. And in the case that non-Muslims did not return the dowries as asked, their previous Muslim husbands, who were entitled to receive the dowry, were allowed by the next ayah to receive it from the new Muslim husbands of the immigrant women, who were to pay the like amount of the previous non-Muslim husbands. So, long story short, instead of paying that amount to the pagan husbands, they might pay to those Muslims who were entitled to receive that amount for the pagans. And in this way, the two obligations might be set off against one another. So, yeah, it's a mouthful. Very confusing for first-time readers, and may not be entirely relatable to us now, but a quick read through for why and what that ayah is talking about. وإن فاتكم شيء من أزواجكم إلى الكفار فعاقبتم فآتوا الذين ذهبت أزواجهم مثل ما أنفقوا واتقوا الله الذي أنتم به مؤمنون. And if some of your non-Muslim wives have slipped from you, and their present non-Muslim husbands do not pay to you the dower as foresaid, and you have your turn of paying dower to the previous non-Muslim husbands of your present wives, then instead of paying dowry to them, give those whose wives have slipped like the amount of what they had paid to them, and fear Allah, the one in whom you believe. يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك يبايعنك على ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يعصينك في معروف فبايعهن واستغفر لهن الله إن الله غفور رحيم. O Prophet, when the believing women come to you seeking pledge of allegiance, with you that they will not ascribe any partner to Allah and will not commit theft and will not commit fornication and will not kill their children and will not come up with a false claim about the parentage of a child that they falsely attribute to the sperm of their husbands being dropped between their hands and their feet, their private parts, and will not disobey you in what is recognized in Sharia, then take them in your bay'ah and pray Allah for their forgiveness. Surely Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. So it was a common practice among pagans that the woman adopted a child and attributed it to her husband, saying, this adopted child is actually, my husband's child. In some cases, she gave birth to an illegitimate child and claimed that it was from the sperm of her actual husband. So she would, commit adultery or fornicate, and whatever child she had from that, she would say that this is, from my actual husband. So this type of undertaking, was specified in this pledge, as it was a common practice from the pagan women in Arabia. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتولوا قوما غضب الله عليهم قد يئسوا من الآخرة كما يئس الكفار من أصحاب القبور. O you who believe, do not have friendships with the people with whom Allah is angry. They have despaired from the hereafter as the infidels have despaired from those buried in the graves. So this may be a reference to the Jews in Medina. This was declared, in previous surahs, that Allah is angry with them. And in fact, it's also in Surah Fatiha as well. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. So in any case, they have despaired from a good life in the hereafter, and as well as those who disbelieve have no hope that their deceased relatives and friends could benefit them while they are dead, while they are in the grave. Another possible translation from this ayah is that they have despaired from the hereafter, as those disbelievers who are in the graves have also been despaired from the hereafter. Surah As-Saf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لم تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. All that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth proclaim Allah's purity, and He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. O you who believe, why do you say what you do not do? It is severely hateful in Allah's sight that you say what you do not do. Surely Allah loves those who fight in His way in firm rows as they were solid edifice. So the ayah, Ya الذين آمنوا لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون, why do you say things that you do not do? It prohibits people, right? It prohibits us from, boastfully claiming to do something that you haven't done. So if you haven't done it, don't say you've done it. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم لم تؤذونني وقد تعلمون أني رسول الله إليكم فلما زاغوا أزاغ الله قلوبهم والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. And remember when Musa said to his people, "O my people, why do you hurt me? Well, you know that I am a messenger of Allah sent towards you." So when they adopt deviation, Allah let their hearts become deviate, and Allah does not guide these sinful people. وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين. Remember when Isa, son of Maryam, said, "O children of Israel, I am a messenger of Allah sent towards you, confirming the Torah that is sent down before me, and giving you the good news of a messenger who will come before me, whose name will be Ahmad." But when he came to them there with manifest signs, they said, "This is a clear magic." So this ayah says that, in the Injil, in the Torah, there is a reference of a prophet by the name of Ahmad, right? So this is the prophecy of Isa alayhi salam in which he foretold about the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And a similar prophecy is actually still available in the Gospel of John, but it's in a little bit different text, or a little distorted form rather. So the original Greek word, I'm not entirely sure of the pronunciation of it. In any case, the Greek word for praised one is a literal translation of Muhammad and Ahmad, and that is what you will find in the Gospels, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. In any case, it's translated in English as counselor, and in fact, counselor is what you'll find in the text. So it's like a little distorted translation from like one language to another language to another language. So the exact text, it reads, "And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another counselor to be with you forever." So counselor is a translation of the Greek word, and the Greek translation is from whatever Muhammad or Ahmad is in the Greek word. So if it was translated correctly, the prophecy would read, "He will give you the praised one, Ahmad, who will be with you forever." It means that this prophethood will not be restricted to any particular age. Rather, he will be the prophet for all times to come. ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله الكذب وهو يدعى إلى الإسلام والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. And who is more unjust than the one who forges a lie against Allah while he is invited to Islam, and Allah does not guide the unjust people. يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. They wish to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah is to perfect His light even though the disbelievers dislike it. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. He is the one who has sent his messenger with guidance and the religion of truth so that he makes it prevail over all religions, even though the mushriks, those who ascribe partners to Allah, dislike it. يا أيها الذين آمنوا هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم. O you who believe, shall I tell you about a trade that saves you from a painful punishment? تؤمنون بالله ورسوله وتجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالكم وأنفسكم ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. That you believe in Allah and His Messenger and carry out jihad in His way with your riches and your lives. That is much better for you, but if only if you knew. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here that jihad is of two types, with your riches, with your mal, so giving in the path of Allah, spending in the way of Allah, or at least spending in the equipment for jihad, and your lives where you sacrifice your physical self as well, whether it be physically fighting or sacrificing in by practicing the deen, practicing the sunnah, where it is difficult to do so. So a form of jihad for a person, maybe praying his salawat, on time when he's at work. For a man to be keeping his beard is a sign of sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For a woman to wear hijab, even if it is difficult for her to do so, but she remembers that it is for the believers to do for success. So, among other things, whatever it may be difficult to do so, you follow the sunnah of Rasulullah, you follow the sunnah of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, and this in turn becomes a jihad for you. It doesn't really mean that, jihad means, you fight physically. It's one meaning, but another meaning for those that it's not possible to do so, you strive and you sacrifice whatever you can. يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار ومساكن طيبة في جنات عدن ذلك الفوز العظيم. If you do this, He will forgive your sins and will admit you to gardens beneath which rivers flow and to pleasant dwellings in gardens of eternity. That is the great achievement. وأخرى تحبونها نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين. And Allah will give you another thing which you love, help from Allah and victory near at hand. So this is a general promise that when Muslims carry out jihad, abiding by the rules and principles of Sharia, they will be helped by Allah and will be the victors. And all the victories that are achieved by Muslims after revelation of this ayah are substantiated by this promise, right? So how many a time do people make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? They ask for help, they're wondering where is the help of Allah, but they don't do any, amal of themselves. They don't practice deen properly themselves. And then when they make dua, then they start questioning, whether or not, Allah is real or not. Why isn't my dua being accepted, or why is this not happening? So it's very, ironic how some people may make these type of du'as when they don't do amal themselves. You have to do amal yourself, and then you make du'a, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you. It's not that Allah is obliged to help you, rather you are obliged to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا أنصار الله كما قال عيسى بن مريم للحواريين من أنصاري إلى الله قال الحواريون نحن أنصار الله فآمنت طائفة من بني إسرائيل وكفرت طائفة فأيدنا الذين آمنوا على عدوهم فأصبحوا ظاهرين. O you who believe, be supporters of the religion of Allah, just as Isa, son of Maryam, said to the disciples, "Who are my supporters towards Allah?" The disciples said, "We are the supporters of the religion of Allah." So a group from the children of Israel believed, and another group disbelieved. Then we supported those who believed against their enemy, and they became victors. So as Muslims, we believe in Isa alayhi salam, right? We believe Isa alayhi salam was a prophet, right? and he was not the son of God, right? And in terms of the Muslim belief versus the Christian belief, we can say that our belief is in, more nearness to to how Isa alayhi salam was and to the true Christianity than those Christians, even including the priests, are, right? This is uh, an excerpt from, I believe it was Mufti Menk. I'm not, I, I, I don't know for the life of me, can't remember who it was, but we as Muslims, right, when we, grow out our beards and have long hair, how many times will people say that, we look like, Jesus, we look like Isa alayhi salam, right? And this is because our sunnah is a sunnah of all the prophets, right? All the prophets had a very similar sunnah, a similar way, and that is they kept a beard, and some of them had long hair. Rasulullah also had long hair as well. At times, he had short hair up till the earlobes, and some points he had long hair up until the shoulders. So this was the appearance of Rasulullah and also the appearance of Isa alayhi salam. So when a Muslim man, or even rather anyone who grows out their beard, has long hair, you can say that, he's looks like Jesus, he looks like Isa alayhi salam. Now, of course, we won't say that, this is how we ourselves, we drew out Isa alayhi salam, but this is the depiction or the personification that the Christians themselves have depicted, right? So according to their own belief, our sunnah is closer to how Isa alayhi salam was, closer to what they themselves act upon. And similarly, when our women, they wear hijab, and you may ask, why is it, or where is it coming from, or whatnot. So besides the fact that it's a farad, it is also the same apparel that Maryam alayhi salam wore. So similarly, the Muslim men and the Muslim women are closer to the faith of Christianity than the Christians themselves are. Surah Al-Jumu'ah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. All that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth proclaim the purity of Allah, the Sovereign, the Supreme in holiness, the Almighty, the All-Wise. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. He is the one who raised amidst the unlettered people a messenger from among themselves who recited to them his verses and purifies them and teaches them the book and the wisdom while they were earlier in open error. وآخرين منهم لما يلحق بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. And this messenger is sent also to others from them who did not join them so far, and he is the Almighty, the All-Wise. This is meaning that Rasulullah was sent to the entirety of mankind, not just Makkah and Medina. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. It is Allah's bounty that He gives to whomsoever He wills, and Allah is the Rabb of the great bounty. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. The example of those who were ordered to bear the responsibility of acting upon the Torah, then they did not bear it, is like a donkey that carries a load of books. Evil is the example of those who have rejected Allah's verses. Allah does not guide the wrongdoing people. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين. Say, O you who are Jews, if you claim that you are the friends of Allah to the exclusion of all other people, then express your desire for death if you are true. ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. And they will never express this desire because of what their hands have sent ahead, and Allah is fully aware of the wrongdoers. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. Say, indeed, the death from which you try to run away has to visit you. Then you will be sent back to the knower of the unseen and the seen, and he will tell you what you used to do. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. O you who believe, when the call for salah is proclaimed on Friday, hasten for the remembrance of Allah and leave off the business. That is much better for you if you but knew. فإذا قضي الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. Then once the salah is over, disperse in the land and seek the grace of Allah and remember Allah abundantly so that you may be successful. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. And when they see some merchandise or amusement, they break away to it and leave you, O Prophet, standing. Say, what is with Allah is much better than the amusement and the merchandise, and Allah is the best giver of sustenance. So upon occasion, Rasulullah, he was giving a khutbah. He was giving khutbah when a trade caravan came with some merchandise. And in order to attract the customers, it had some, entertainment as well. So some audience left the mosque, they left the masjid, and they ran towards the merchants and towards these trade carts. And so this ayah was revealed during this occasion. سورة المنافقون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاءك المنافقون قالوا نشهد إنك لرسول الله والله يعلم إنك لرسوله والله يشهد إن المنافقين لكاذبون. When the hypocrite comes to you, they say, we bear witness that you are indeed the messenger of Allah. Allah knows that you are really his messenger, but Allah testifies that the hypocrites are actually liars. اتخذوا أيمانهم جنة فصدوا عن سبيل الله إنهم ساء ما كانوا يعملون. They have made their oaths a shield, and so they have prevented others from the way of Allah. Surely evil is what they have been doing. ذلك بأنهم آمنوا ثم كفروا فطبع على قلوبهم فهم لا يفقهون. That is because they declared faith in Islam apparently, then disbelieved secretly. Therefore, a seal has been set on their hearts, and so they do not understand. وإذا رأيتهم تعجبك أجسامهم وإن يقولوا تسمع لقولهم كأنهم خشب مسندة يحسبون كل صيحة عليهم هم العدوون فاحذرهم قاتلهم الله أنى يؤفكون. And if you see them, their physiques would attract you, and if they speak, you would like to listen to their speech because of their eloquence. Yet, being devoid of substance, it is as if they were propped up beams of timber. They deem every shout they hear to be against them out of cowardice. They are the enemy, so beware of them. May Allah destroy them. How perverted they are. وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا يستغفر لكم رسول الله لووا رؤوسهم ورأيتهم يصدون وهم مستكبرون. And when it is said to them, come on so that Allah's messenger may pray for your forgiveness, they twist their heads in aversion, and you see them turning away in arrogance. سواء عليهم أستغفرت لهم أم لم تستغفر لهم لن يغفر الله لهم إن الله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. And it is equal in their case whether you pray for their forgiveness or do not pray. Allah will never forgive them. Indeed, Allah does not guide these sinning people. هم الذين يقولون لا تنفقوا على من عند رسول الله حتى ينفضوا ولله خزائن السماوات والأرض ولكن المنافقين لا يفقهون. They are those who say, do not spend on those who are with Allah's messenger until they disperse. And to Allah belongs the treasures of the heavens and the earth, but the hypocrites do not understand. يقولون لئن رجعنا إلى المدينة ليخرجن الأعز منها الأذل ولله العزة ولرسوله وللمؤمنين ولكن المنافقين لا يعلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. They say if we return to Medina, the more honorable ones will drive out the meaner ones from there. And to Allah belongs honor, and to His Messenger, and to the believers. But the hypocrites do not know. O you who believe, your riches and your children must not divert you from the remembrance of Allah. And those who do that are the losers. وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول ربي لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين ولن يؤخر الله نفسا إذا جاء أجلها والله خبير بما تعملون. And spend out of what we have given to you before death overtakes one of you. And he says, my Rabb, would you not give me respite to a near term so that I should pay sadaqah and become one of the righteous? But Allah will never give respite to anyone. Once His appointed time will come, and Allah is all aware of what you do. All right, so before we continue with Surah Al-Ghabun, inshallah, we will take a quick break for a minute or two. And then we will continue and finish the surah, inshallah. So a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll be back. Okay, assalamu alaikum, we are back. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يسبح لله ما في السماوات. One second. One second. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير. All that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth proclaim Allah's purity. To him belongs the kingdom and for him is all praise and he is powerful over everything. He is the one who created you. Then some of you are disbelievers and some of you are believers. And Allah is watchful of what you do. خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق وصوركم فأحسن صوركم وإليه المصير. He has created the heavens and the earth rightly and shaped your figures and made your figures good. And to him is the final return. يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض ويعلم ما تسرون وما تعلنون والله عليم بذات الصدور. He knows all that is in the heavens and the earth, and he knows whatever you conceal and whatever you reveal. Allah is fully aware of what lies in the hearts. ألم يأتكم نبأ الذين كفروا من قبل فذاقوا وبال أمرهم ولهم عذاب أليم. Did the news of those people not come to you who disbelieved earlier and tasted the evil consequence of their conduct, and for them in the hereafter there is a painful punishment. ذلك بأنه كانت تأتيهم رسلهم بالبينات فقالوا أبشر يهدوننا فكفروا وتولوا واستغنى الله والله غني حميد. That is because their messengers used to bring them clear proofs, but they said, shall some mortals give us guidance? And so they disbelieved and turned away, and Allah did not care. Allah is all independent, ever praised. زعم الذين كفروا أن لن يبعثوا قل بلى وربي لتبعثن ثم لتنبؤن بما عملتم وذلك على الله يسير. The disbelievers claim that they will never be raised again after death. Say, why not? By my Rabb, you will be raised again, and then you will be told about what you did. That is so easy for Allah. فآمنوا بالله ورسوله والنور الذي أنزلنا والله بما تعملون خبير. So believe in Allah and His Messenger and in the light we have sent down, and Allah is fully aware of what you do. يوم يجمعكم ليوم الجمع ذلك يوم التغاب ومن يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يكفر عنه سيئاته ويدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا ذلك الفوز العظيم. Be mindful of the day when he will gather you for the day of gathering. That will be the day of loss and gain. Whoever believes in Allah and does righteously, he will write off his evil deeds and will admit him to gardens beneath which rivers flow, where they will live forever. That is a great achievement. والذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا أولئك أصحاب النار خالدين فيها وبئس المصير. As for those who disbelieve and reject our signs, they are the people of the fire, and it is an evil place to return. ما أصاب من مصيبة إلا بإذن الله ومن يؤمن بالله يهدي قلبه والله بكل شيء عليم. No calamity befalls one but with the leave of Allah, and whoever believes in Allah, He guides his heart. and Allah is all-knowing about everything. وأطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول فإن توليتم فإنما على رسولنا البلاغ المبين. Obey Allah and obey the messenger, but if you turn away, then our messenger is only to convey the message clearly. الله لا إله إلا هو وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون. Allah is such that there is none worthy of worship besides Him, and in Allah alone the believers must place their trust. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدوا لكم فاحذروهم وإن تعفوا وتصفحوا وتغفروا فإن الله غفور رحيم. O you who believe, among your wives and your children there are some enemies for you, so beware of them. And if you forgive and overlook and pardon, then Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة والله عنده أجر عظيم. Your riches and your children are but a trial. As for Allah, with Him is a great reward. فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم واسمعوا وأطيعوا وأنفقوا خيرا لأنفسكم ومن يوق الشح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. So observe taqwa as far as you can and listen and obey and spend in Allah's way. It is good for you, and those who are saved from the greed of their hearts are the successful. إن تقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا يضاعفه لكم ويغفر لكم والله شكور حليم. If you advance a good loan to Allah, He will multiply it for you and He will forgive you, and Allah is appreciative, forbearing. عالم الغيب والشهادة العزيز الحكيم. The knower of the unseen and the seen, the Almighty, the All-Wise. Surah Al-Talaq. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. O Prophet, when you people divorce women, divorce them at a time when the period of iddah might start, and count the period of iddah and fear Allah your Rabb. Do not expel them from their houses, nor should they go out unless they come up with a clearly shameless act. These are the limits prescribed by Allah, and whoever exceeds the limits prescribed by Allah wrongs his own self. You do not know what will happen in the future. It may be that Allah brings about a new situation thereafter. So Idda is that period in which a divorcee woman cannot marry another man. And for her, this period is 3 full periods of menstruation. So ayah says that a man should divorce his wife, that if he divorces his wife, he has to do so in the period of tuhr. That means that when she is not menstruating. So that means that her iddah may start with the following menstruation period. If, on the contrary, one divorces his wife during the menstruation, her iddah will start from the next period of menstruation, and she will have to wait for a longer period unnecessarily. So this ayah provides that husbands are obligated to provide residence uh, to their divorcee wives during the period of iddah, and is also enjoined upon her to remain in the homes of their husbands during that period. However, if they commit a shameful act like adultery or theft or any abusive altercations, their right of residence may be forfeited. The reason why this is there is so that the husband would, or the ex-husband rather, would take care of the woman uh, after the divorce, in terms of shelter and food. So it means that it is better for a husband that he pronounces a revocable divorce, which is pronounced or written only once or twice in express words and not three times. And this kind of divorce, he may revoke it during the iddah, and it's better because the circumstances may change, right? For whatever period or whatever reason he may have divorced her, he may have been in anger situation, may not have been right, or whatever the case may be, circumstances change, and maybe they would be able to work it out. فإذا بلغن أجلهن فامسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به ما كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا. So when they have almost reached their term, then either retain them with fairness or part with them with fairness, and make two just men from among you witnesses of your either decision. And O witnesses, keep your testimony upright for the sake of Allah. That is what anyone who believes in Allah and the last day is exhorted to do. Whoever fears Allah, He brings forth a way out for him. So this provision, treating them with fairness, relates to the revocable divorce, in which the husband has pronounced divorce once or twice in express terms. So here he has two options. One, to revoke the divorce and retain the wife. Two, to let the period of iddah expire without revocation, and so he would release the wife to marry another man. He is ordered to maintain equity and fairness during these times. And the reason why this equity and fairness is mentioned, one, for the obvious reason, and two, for the reason where he isn't trying to be abusive, where he does the divorce, right? And then right before the time is done, he takes her back, just out of pettiness or whatever the reason may be. So this is where equity and fairness is applied. So in the first case, he must give her the due rights, and in the second case, he should release her in a courteous manner and avoid a hostile attitude. Now, another thing to mention is the most hated thing in Islam, right? The most looked down upon thing in Islam, that is halal, that is permissible, is divorce, right? The worst possible thing a person can do that is permissible is divorce, is talaq. So you're encouraged to to mend the relationship, to talk it out, communicate, work it out between the husband and the wife. It's better for you. All right. Worst comes to worst is that you divorce each other. But it should never be the first option that you think about. ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا, and provides him with what he needs from where he does not even imagine. And whoever places his trust in Allah, He is sufficient for him. Surely Allah is to accomplish His purpose. Allah has set a measure for everything. واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهم 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا. And those women From among you who have despaired of further menstruation, if you are in doubt, their iddah is 3 months, as well as those who have not yet menstruated. As for those who are having pregnancy, their term is that they give birth to the child, and whoever fears Allah, He brings about ease for him in his affair. ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا. This is the command of Allah that He has sent down to you, and whoever fears Allah, He will write off his evil deeds and He will give him a huge reward. أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى. Provide to them, the divorced woman, residence where you reside according to your means, and do not hurt them to straighten life for them. And if they are pregnant, spend on them until they give birth to their child. Then if they suckle the child for you, give them their fees and consult each other for determining the fee with fairness. And if you create a deadlock between you, then another woman will suckle him. So although the divorcee women have the right of maintenance during the period of iddah, one may feel that if this period is prolonged because of pregnancy, he is not obligated to maintain the divorcee for such a long period of time. So the verse removes the misconception and says that even during the entire period of pregnancy, the divorcees are entitled to receive maintenance from their husbands who have divorced them. لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها سيجعل الله بعد عسر يسرا. A man of vast means should spend according to his vast means, and anyone whose sustenance is limited should spend from whatever Allah has given to him. Allah makes no one liable because beyond what He has given to him, Allah will soon bring ease after a difficulty. وكأي من قرية عتت عن أمر ربها ورسله فحاسبناها حسابا شديدا وعذبناها عذابا نكرا فذاقت وبال أمرها وكان عاقبة أمرها خسرا. And how many a township rebelled against the command of its Rabb and against its messengers, so we call them to a severe account and punish them with a punishment that was unimagined by them. And so they tasted the evil consequence of their acts, and the end of their conduct was loss. أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب الذين آمنوا قد أنزل الله إليكم ذكرا. Allah has prepared for them a severe punishment. So fear Allah, O man of understanding, who have believed. Allah has sent down to you a reminder. رسولا يتلو عليكم آيات الله مبينات ليخرج الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور ومن يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا قد أحسن الله له رزقا الله الذي خلق 7 سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. A messenger who recites to you the verses of Allah, making the truth clear, so that he may bring forth those who believe and do righteous deeds from the layers of darkness into the light. And whoever believes in Allah and acts righteously, He will admit him to the gardens beneath which rivers flow, wherein such people will live forever. Allah has made for him a good provision. Allah is the one who has created seven skies and their like from the earth. The command descends among them so that you may know that Allah is powerful over everything and that Allah has encompassed everything in knowledge. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها النبي لم تحرم ما أحل الله لك تبتغي مرضات أزواجك والله غفور رحيم. O Prophet, why do you ban on yourself something that Allah has made lawful for you, seeking to please your wives, and Allah is most forgiving, very merciful. So this ayah and this surah is in regards to the time where Rasulullah used to visit all of his blessed wives for a short period of time after Salatul Asr. One time when he was with Zainab radiallahu anha, she offered him money, and for that reason he remained with her for some more time than usual. Then he visited Aisha radiallahu anha and Hafsa radiallahu anha who were waiting for him. And each of them asked, whether he had eaten, an herb that was having bad smell. He replied, he hadn't eaten, and asked, why did they, suspect him of eating a bad smelling herb. So they said, what is the smell that is felt from your mouth? Rasulullah, thought that the smell was sensed due to the honey, that was offered by Zainab radiallahu anha, as a honeybee might have sucked on that herb. And so he swore an oath that he would never drink honey. And on this occasion, this ayah was revealed, in which case he was directed not to make a lawful thing unlawful for himself. قد فرض الله لكم تحلة أيمانكم والله مولاكم وهو العليم الحكيم. Allah has prescribed the way of absolution from your oaths, and Allah is your protector, and He is the all-knowing, the all-wise. وإذ أسر النبي إلى بعض أزواجه حديثا فلما نبأت به وأظهره الله عليه عرف بعضه وأعرض عن بعض فلما نبأها به قالت من أنبأك هذا قال نبأني العليم الخبير. And remember when the Prophet told one of his wives something in secret, so when she disclosed it to another wife and Allah made it known to him, he told the disclosing wife part of it and avoided another part. So when he informed her about it, she said, who told you about this? He said, I was told of it by the all-knowing, the all-aware. So again, this was the time of the drinking of the honey. Rasulullah told Hafsa radiallahu anh that he would never drink honey in the house of Zainab radiallahu anh, and they had sworn an oath to that effect. So at the same time, he directed her not to tell anyone else. But she told Aisha radiallahu anha, and Rasulullah came to know about her disclosure through the divine revelation from Allah. And so he told Hafsa radiallahu anh that she had disclosed to Aisha radiallahu anh what he ordered her to conceal. So this disclosed secret was of two parts. One, that Rasulullah would never drink honey in the house of Zainab radiallahu anha, and two, they had sworn an oath about it. إن تتوبا إلى الله فقد صغت قلوبكما وإن تظاهر عليه فإن الله هو مولاه وجبريل وصالح المؤمنين والملائكة بعد ذلك ظهير. O two wives of the Prophet, if both of you repent to Allah, then your conduct calls for it, because your hearts have departed from the correct way. And if you back each other against him, then Allah is the supporter, and Jibreel and the righteous believers, and after all that, angels are his helpers. عسى ربه إن طلقكن أن يبدله أزواجا خيرا منكن مسلمات مؤمنات قانتات تائبات عابدات سائحات سائحات ثيبات وبكارا. It is hoped that if he divorces you, Allah will give him in your place wives better than you, submissive to Allah, believing, devout, penitent, steadfast in worship, fasting, previously married, and virgins. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. O you believe, save yourselves and your families from a fire, the fuel of which is human beings and stone, appointed on which are angels, stern and severe, who do not disobey Allah in what He orders them, and do whatever they are ordered to do. يا أيها الذين كفروا لا تعتذروا اليوم إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. O you who believe, O you who disbelieve, do not make excuses today. You will only be recompensed for what you have been doing. يا أيها الذين آمنوا توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يوم لا يخزي الله النبي والذين آمنوا معه نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم يقولون ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. O you who believe, turn to Allah with a faithful repentance. It is hope from your Rabb that He will write off your faults and will admit you to the gardens beneath which rivers flow on the day when Allah will not disgrace the Prophet and those who believe with him. Their light will run before them and to their right hands. They will say, Our Rabb, perfect for us our light and forgive us. Indeed, you are powerful over everything. يا أيها النبي جاهد الكفار والمنافقين واغلظ عليهم ومأواهم جهنم وبئس المصير. O Prophet, carry out jihad against the disbelievers and the hypocrites and be harsh with them. Their final abode is Jahannam and it is an evil end. ضرب الله مثلا للذين كفروا امرأة نوح وامرأة لوط كانتا تحت عبدين من عبادنا صالحين فخانتاهما فلم يغنيا عنهما من الله شيئا وقيل ادخلا النار مع الداخلين. Allah cited for the disbelievers the example of the wife of Noah and the wife of Lut. Both were married with two of our righteous servants, but both of them betrayed them, so they could not benefit them against Allah at all. And it was said, enter the fire along with those who enter. So the wives of these prophets did not accept the true faith. وضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون إذ قالت رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين. And Allah cited for the believers example of the wife of Fir'aun when she said, My Rabb, build for me near you a house in the paradise and deliver me from Fir'aun and his deed and deliver me from the unjust people. And subhanAllah, you see how guidance is truly in the hands of Allah, where the wives of prophets did not accept the faith, but the wife of Fir'aun accepted the faith and followed Allah. ومريم ابنة عمران التي أحصنت فرجها فنفخنا فيه من روحنا وصدقت بكلمات ربها وكتبه وكانت من القانتين. And Allah has also cited the example of Maryam, the daughter of Imran, who guarded her chastity, so we breathed into her our spirit, and she testified to the truth of the words of her Rabb and his books, and she was one of the devout worshippers. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Alhamdulillah, with that, we have just finished the 28th juz and Surah Al-Tahrim. Inshallah, tomorrow we will continue with the 29th juz. And Surah Mulk. With that, we'd just like to say Jazakallah khair for participating in our classes. We are pretty much done. Inshallah, we'll have our khatam either Saturday or Sunday. More on that tomorrow, inshallah. So Jazakallah khair for participating. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all for your efforts. I shall hope to see you all tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.